Lila was a successful realtor, known for her ability to sell even the most difficult properties. She had a way with people, making them feel comfortable very early on in her connection. Most of her sales were referrals and repeat sales. She really had a great reputation. It all began with a faint whisper that Lila heard while working late in an old, empty house. "Lila, you sold them lies," it said. She looked around, but the house was empty. She tried to ignore it, but the voice persisted, even cackling with mischief. Lila began to feel a cold presence in the houses she was trying to sell, especially in the ones with dark histories. The whispers continued, accusing her of deceit. "You'll pay for your lies," they taunted. She would immediately turn around to check her surroundings, but she never saw anything. She only heard the voices. Lila was obsessed with her work, spending hours researching and perfecting her sales pitches. She started seeing ghostly figures in the houses, their faces filled with accusation and anger. The whispers grew louder and more persistent over time, haunting her every step. Years ago, Lila had sold a house to a family that had later suffered a terrible tragedy within its walls. The memory of that event had always haunted her, but now it seemed to blend with her current fears. She wondered if she was responsible for the balcony railing giving way on the children, leading to their deaths. She couldn't get their little faces out of her mind. And the parents, they must have been utterly devastated. Desperate, Lila confided in her colleagues and even talked to a counselor. But no one seemed to take her stories about the voices seriously. They suggested she was just under stress and needed a break. Her family worried about her state of mind and urged her to take some time off. But Lila had a reputation to uphold and couldn't settle for second place. The whispers became more insistent. "You cannot escape your guilt," they cried. Lila started seeing the ghostly figures frequently, their spectral form appearing in every house she inspected. The cold presence became consistent as time went on. She was unnerved, but kept her wits about her. Her performance at work began to falter when she failed to show as many houses as she originally promised. Families began to call as she requested they reschedule because she simply couldn't keep up. She became paranoid and jumpy, seeing ghostly figures in the shadows. She couldn't tell what was real and what was a figment of her tortured mind. Lila started doubting her sanity. One night, as she was alone in an old house, the whispers suddenly became a roar. "Join us, Lila," they demanded. She saw the ghost of the children from the tragedy, their faces twisted in pain and accusation. Lila screamed, but no one heard her. She was alone that night and was absolutely terrified. Lila ran out of the house, desperate to escape the voice and the ghosts. She drove home in a fury, blowing through red lights and stop signs, tears streaming down her face. She locked herself in her house and fell to her knees, begging for the voices to stop. Just as she was about to give in to despair, her room filled with a blinding light. The whispers turned into a furious hiss. "You cannot escape us, Lila!" they roared. But suddenly Lila felt a warm presence envelop her, pushing the darkness away. She looked around and saw the ghost of her grandmother standing above her with love. Her presence must have repulsed the voices of the ghosts of the deceased children. Her grandmother's ghost didn't say anything. It just looked at her lovingly and reassuringly as Lila's heartbeat slowed and her tears stopped streaming. She sunk down on the floor next to the bed in the fetal position and closed her eyes. She rocked herself and thought of Grandma. Before she knew it, Lila was waking up from the exact spot she remembered rocking herself in, but it was morning. She must have passed out after that dreadfully emotional evening, but all was calm. She didn't feel stressed, she didn't hear any voices, and the sun was shining outside. It was truly a new day. She realized that many of the houses in that town had dark histories with unexplained deaths and freak accidents. She had confided in a few of her colleagues and the manager at the main realty location. They shared stories that even they had been told about old homes in that town. She wondered why no one had ever shared them with her before. But she was encouraged to learn that she wasn't alone in her fear. There was something evil lurking in the properties she sold, something that fed on the fear and suffering of its occupants. Leela decided to gather other realtors who had experienced similar torment. They found strength in each other's stories and began to uncover the truth behind the whispers and the ghosts. As they walked back to the old houses, Lila felt the weight of unseen eyes still on her. But she wasn't alone anymore. She had found others who believed her, and together they would fight the darkness and reclaim their dignity. And you, dear listener, have you ever heard whispers in the silence of an empty room? Have you ever felt a cold presence that chills you to the bone? Well, you're not alone in your fear. There's something out there, something evil out there. You cannot let it get the best of you. Find others who believe you. Together, you can fight the voices in the dark. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe and follow us for more. Join us on TikTok and YouTube for more Chilling Chronicles, if you dare.